Hi everyone, this is my update slash review video for Hobonichi gear. This is what I use for school right now. It's a 2015 weeks calendar, and I'm gonna bundle it with the 2016 A6 weeks planner as well. This is from the accessory side of things, as is this Hobo band, which I really quite like. So this is a planner that I was using mostly for school. I quite liked having the space to, for the calendar particularly, to see, well, when do I have assignments due? And I initially plonked notes in here just to have a place to keep related notes together. But I found that a lot of my notes were better off had online in terms of sharing with other people and for things like references for citations. But it still really has a place in my heart because of it's a dedicated space for notes, for little bits and bobs. I really like that. But because my program ends in 2016 in June, I didn't think it was worthwhile to buy a whole nother calendar, planner, especially because the calendar in the weeks, it ends in March, which I really like. I really like the monthly thing. So you get December 2015, and then you go until, there we are, March 2016. So that's brilliant. To sort of mimic that experience, I'm using this mini calendar, mini planner, and I'm gonna do it vertically. So instead of looking at it as a book form, I'm gonna go downward. That way I still get that horizontal feel, because I did like being able to look across and downward for a sense of time and for a sense of things to do. So I really like that, and they fit really well together. Especially with this band, which I quite like. So it's got a few spots here for pens. It does have a nub type thingy to ta-da, undo, and nice and elasticy. So it's a fantastic way of keeping these two bad boys together and keeping a pen in the mix as well. I used to use a plastic cover for this buddy, but I like the cover more than I like the feeling of, or the lack of feeling of success for for this planner, so I pulled it off and I'm saving it for another wonderful day. Yeah, anyways, so that's my planner for school. The other guy I'm going to update you guys about. So this is the 2016 The Umbrella cover. I really like it. I have heard some read some comments that people find the cover a bit cheap because it feels like plastic. I love the fact that it's waterproof. It'll probably still stain when I eventually drop coffee on it at some point. But I do love the complete sleek, smooth feel of it. It does. Oh, it feels really nice. And I really like the pattern more than I expected. So I think that may have had something to do with it. It's got a cute little brolly as a keychain zipper thing, which is fantastic. As an update in terms of what I'm using it for these days, I've been really hit and miss. It's become a bit of a scrapbook hybrid. So I used to do flip-throughs. I realized when I do flip-throughs, I'm not journaling for me anymore. It's more for people. I have to think about who's going to be looking at it. And so I don't want to share that sort of thing anymore, aside from like a few bits and pieces here and there, like watching Mad Max for the 3rd time because it's the best movie ever. But yeah, so I won't be sharing as much anymore. But one thing I did want to do was I decided to try this pen. I have no idea what it's called anymore. It was from the Hobo store, and it is amazing. Yeah. Oh gosh, I love it so much. Like, I'm gonna draw a rabbit. It's got a felt tip. Oh man, and it doesn't feel weird at all. It's just the best feeling ever. Yeah. And this is how you draw a rabbit. Well, this is how I draw a rabbit. If you're on YouTube and just going crazy, because this pen is like the best thing ever. Oh my gosh. Because it's got some flex, so it feels brush-like, but at the same time, let me zoom in a little here. No, that's not possible. I can't zoom in. Never mind. But it just feels really good. It's like a brush pen with the flex without giving away having to worry about different bits coming off. I know I'm just gonna stock up on this stuff. It's the best pen ever, and you can get some variation with it, and your bunnies can look like this when you get them. Anyway, so this pen is amazing, again from the Hobo store. I don't know what it's called. I will find out one day, probably later. But yeah, and I find in terms of practice with my illustrations, I use the Hobonichi pen now to just get right in there. I don't do anything in pencil and then overwrite it anymore, so there's less worry about smudging. And again, to make it slightly scrapbooky makes it feel easier to hold on to memories and things. One practice I'm probably gonna pick up is to use some of the A5 note pages to put some to keep extra memories and thoughts in there as well, because some days one page isn't enough, and I don't want to go back and fill in pages that aren't relevant. I'd rather take something extra, put it in, put whatever thoughts I have on the page and tape it into the corresponding day. Because I really enjoy going back into even the blank days. So I had a huge chunk of blank days when I was like, what am I going to do with this? So this was in May. It was really busy for me at the time, and I had this thought maybe I should just use a blank calendar, but for me this in itself speaks to me, knowing what my days were like, because I remember how busy it was and how stressed I was at that time. So even a blank page to me does speak to me. Therefore, I ain't gonna get no blank paper. I'm gonna stick with Hobonichi all the way. So I absolutely love this particular cover, and I'm gonna maintain my practice in doodling daily as much as possible. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the Hobonichi user book 2016. This is 7 clams. Yeah, 700 yen, and it feels like a bit of like a zine. It's quite slim, not a firm cover, but I am so glad I got it. I really like this book. I don't want to call it a book because it's not really a book. If I feel like calling it like a magazine. It's nice and glossy, and it shows some of the covers for 2016. Love that guy. But it also breaks down what the pages are like for the original Japanese, for the English, what's in the cousin, what's in the weeks, and I really appreciate that for some reason. I don't know why. So if you like that kind of thing, perhaps this is something you want to keep in your closet as well, or in your bookshelves rather. They have a little timeline as well in terms of where Hobonichi has come from, which I think is absolutely fascinating. And it does have some recommendations like, hey, this is how you can use your book, which I think was actually oddly satisfying to see as well. I do follow like everyone, it seems, on Instagram who tags with Hobonichi, but this was still fun to see too. And this is why I wanted to get this particular book. The Hobonichi Techo is a park. You can't just plant the trees and cut the grass, so it felt a bit corporate, like, hey, yeah man, Hobonichi brand, do it. But what really stuck out at me is the fact that it actually rings true. I view my Hobonichi as a place for me. I've completely personalized it for my own intents and purposes. Therefore, it means a lot to me. And to not have a Hobonichi is to pretty much not have a love for planners and stationery. So anyways, I really like the 2016 lineup for multiple reasons, including this one. Not because of that stupid Blue Navy book. Oh man, I'm doing this up already. But yeah, so 2016 looks pretty sweet to me in terms of planners. Hopefully you got something out of this video. Cheers, bye!